Welcome back to another first impression, this time for the anime. Roll over and die. I will fight for an ordinary life with my love and cursed sword. Very short title, as always. Synopsis on any list. Plum has been chosen by God to be in the hero's party despite having stats of 0 across the board. All she has is the reversal ability that she still doesn't fully understand. Predictably, she proves useless in battle, but she refuses to give up and continues to do all she can for the party. Her party mate Jean, a genius and renowned sage, picks on her at every opportunity and eventually sells her off into slavery. Even as a slave, she's treated as incompetent and persecuted, and ultimately thrown to monsters as bait for her master's entertainment. Plum is left with two options: take up the cursed sword that inevitably brings death to its wielder, or be eaten by monster. The moment she chooses to fight back is when the reverse of her life begins. Okay, so we have the hero Plum, who is the orange-haired girl. She got chosen as a hero by God, and she joins the hero's party. Even though she doesn't have any skills, she's unable to fight, she can't really carry much. She's trying to do the best she can, but she can only do miscellaneous stuff like cooking, cleaning, and for the overarching goal, she's not very helpful. That is how she ends up as a slave. Now, the first 3 episodes, I liked how they structured the beginning, because the beginning is we see her being chosen. The whole village is like, yo, doing like a farewell party. She joins the heroes, and then we more or less see her as a slave. We just jump how, she as a slave in this little cell with other slaves. And what happens there? We have like a couple minutes of that, and then we go back to see what really happened, that Jean sold her off. I like this build up or the structure of the first episode, because it doesn't go with all the story in front, with all the explanations, but intersperse the explanation with the what happens at this time. I like that. It feels a lot more natural instead of having the whole exposition in front. And overall, I like the first 3 episodes. I like some of the aspects. One of them, she has this reversal skill, and while she's down there in the cell and she has a choice to be eaten by monsters or take the sword has negative effects. One of them is that it dissolves anyone that tries to wield it, and the other one is that anyone who uses the sword loses 995 stats, which is interesting. Because of her reversal skills, those 2 effects get flipped. So she gets 900 plus stats. Before she had 0 everywhere. Now she has 900 in total divided in her stats. I like the idea. You can do a lot with that. The question is, in the first 3 episodes, we did not really see this play out outside of this instance. We have some more curse equipment, but curse equipment is mostly negative. I did not see any positives. It's not like a curse equipment has -2 strength, +2 intelligence, like an up and downside. It is mostly only downsides. Meaning there's never really a reason not to use those. We will see if they have some differences later on. Naturally, because you are the only one that can use curse equipment, or the only one that is sensible on who it is sensible to use curse equipment, you have a lot to pick from whenever you come across curse equipment, because why would you carry curse equipment if it's useless otherwise? So we will see how that is. But what I I'm more interested in is this reverses case flips the negative effects. But what happens if someone tries to give you a buff? They want to give you more speed. Now this buff would turn negative because of this skill, and you would reduce speed. Additionally, if someone debuffs you and wants to reduce your speed, it would increase. At least that is what I hope is happening. We will see if that ever comes into play. It would be nice to have this. Everything that is positive would be negative for her, and everything that would be negative would be positive. I believe we saw that a little bit in episode 3, but I'm not so sure. We didn't really get many opportunities. The main character is a hero. She behaves somewhat like a hero. She seems to be willing to help. She is, as she frees herself from slavery, she's helping this girl whose name is Milk. And together they are more or less trying to survive at this point, to get enough money for food, whatever. And in the first 3 episodes, it's mostly about surviving. We do see a little bit of the heroes party. We get to that later. Overall, I like the concept. I like how it is presented. It is somewhat dark in areas. In other areas, it is a little bit more dark, or goes into a little bit of a more darker area. And I like the concept. It does not feel like this typical OP slop we get served every now and then. She does have to work for it. She does have to use her abilities a little bit more, which I do like. Animation. Some of the animation, especially in the first 2 episodes, was pretty nice. But I feel like in episode 3 you saw the quality drop, which is one of the big important reasons to go for 3 episodes. Because now you can see if they are able to keep the quality. And I feel like it dropped quite a bit. But overall, I do still really enjoy it. I see potential. If it is being used, we will have to see. Now, I am going over ratings, and then I'm going to yap a little bit more. So AniList has it at 65%. My Anime List at 6.59. I would give it a 7 out of 10. There are some parts that are really strange. I am going over them right now. This is not going to be spoiler right now. Some of the character motivations is strange. How they act, what they do is a little bit strange. Not from the main character, but from the more or less enemies or bad characters. There's some strange stuff going on there. It doesn't feel good. But okay, this is where we go to spoilers. Now I'm going from the very beginning, and then so you can decide when you want to stop listening to me yap. We land in the cell. We are slaves, and there is the slaver is there. Okay, I can't sell you because of different reasons. We see someone is sickly. You see Milk, she is disfigured. Okay, understandable. Maybe you're not able to sell these. Maybe you do, whatever. And he's like, okay, because I paid so much money for your upkeep, I want to be entertained by your death. So he wants to feed them to the ghouls, or they can touch the sword. What he really wants is them touching the sword, so they dissolve, I guess. Because quite frankly, it is not very entertaining at all. There are so many other options you could do. You could have like a little arena, the free for all. Whoever wins gets another chance, like that. You could sell tickets, get a little bit more of the money. Even saying that you cannot sell some of these characters is stupid. No, even disfigured, I feel like you can still get a couple pennies for Milk. our main character doesn't really have any negative parts. You could most likely sell her as well still. So that is already weird. Doesn't really make much sense. This is already where I'm like, okay. It's the very beginning, sure. Then we see that Jean, which is the guy on the right here, he sold her to slavery, which makes no sense. Now, he is just bad or evil for evil's sake, essentially. Because he's like, hey, you are useless. And I would be like, in one of the very few instances, I would be like, okay, I can understand you throwing her out of the party. Understandable. She can't really do much. So I can see why you would just, you don't want her to be in the party. Now the problem is that he has to go a step further. Not only does he not want her in a party, he wants her, he sells her into slavery. Now, in that scene, we see Chris, Chrisit, whatever, the blonde girl. Flamme more or less made friends with everyone in the heroes party, and Jean more or less convinced Chrisit to kick Flamme out of the party. He was like, hey, it's for the better, she's going to be in danger, so better to let her leave now than whenever we are in real tough situations. And she agrees. Now, in that situation, Jean has her more or less by her clothes and is like, hey, you are useless. She's looking, this girl is in the vicinity, and she's like turning her back to Flamme. A second later, the slaver appears and he's selling Flamme into slavery, which this other girl has to know, but seemingly she does not. We are led to believe she doesn't know that he sold her into slavery for some reason, which is very strange. This is all the second part where I'm like, this doesn't really make sense. She most likely should know, but later on we find out she doesn't really know, which is because it is one part to be like, okay, we are going to kick her out. It is another part to say we are going to sell her into slavery, especially as another woman. It would be a whole other situation. Again, this is just, it is, hey, he's evil for evil's sake. I don't like this. This is just shit. Now we later find out that he likes her and there's some bullshit going on. I don't really care. I don't care about this character. He's evil for evil's sake. You can't make him better because you started to show him off as with no real quality. So you can't write him better later on. You can't make him better. He's just bad. Now, we then get sold into slavery. This part only I got, or I thought about more later. You see the little mark on her left cheek. Now, this was a branding iron that this guy used on her. Again, just to be evil. Now this would be temporary because it's, yeah, sure, maybe you get a scar, maybe not. The slaver, however, made this permanent through his some magic or whatever paint. He made this permanent, meaning that he had, let's say, a potential 100% sellable slave, and he just removed 30-40% of the value because you disfigured her face. It makes no sense. From a business standpoint, 0 sense. Just stupid. And this is... We then go... we get out of the cell. We are on the run, more or less. We go into the slums, whatever. And we join the Adventurers Guild. Okay. Now the leader of the Adventurers Guild, I believe, is this guy. I mean, he's also evil. Who would have thought? They go to the Adventurers deck. There's a lady there, and she's like, "Hey, you are not really. You are two young girls. Better go be prostitutes." Now, even if it sounds bad, I can get behind the idea. Hey, this is a better profession for you. You are most likely not going to survive as adventurers. Better go this way, make enough money, survive for a long time. Understandable. She doesn't really let up even after Flam tells her multiple times, hey, I want to be an adventurer. At that point, I'm like, eh. At the beginning, she maybe had the best intention, but now it's just do your job. Just shut up, give her an adventurer's permit, whatever. Now the Adventurers Guild Master comes in. This is this guy, and gives her a job for D rank, even though she's F rank. So he more or less sends her on a suicide mission, which is one of those stupid points. Why? For me, one of the big points always is, why would you do something? A lot of evil characters, they do something evil because they believe it is good, or they have a benefit for doing that, or they get rid of a future obstacle. These two girls are new to the adventuring life, and he sends them on a very dangerous mission where they most likely are going to die. For no reason. He doesn't really benefit from that. I assumed at the time, because it was clear that he was trying to trick them into some stupid mission. We saw it on his face, we saw it on the secretary's face, because she didn't really want to give them the job, but the master, more or less pressured her into that. I assumed that he would give them a job where they are in a dungeon or whatever, and he can send his guys behind, and he gets like a kickback for whatever. You know how it is. He's an asshole. I assumed he would be not stupid, to say it in a acceptable way nowadays. But he's stupid. Because, okay, you send them to their death and no one knows. You don't know if they die, but even if they die, you don't have anything from that. You are not going to watch them die. You are not going to watch them fight. You are not going to get any entertainment out of that. Later they try to do some betting some betting around that, which is like, everyone is going to bet on they die. Who's going to bet on them surviving? No one. So you don't even get any money from that. It's totally useless. You just send people out to die and you got nothing out of that. It makes no sense for me. Surprise, surprise, they survive, come back, and what is his demeanor? Is he going to maybe see, oh, they have potential, maybe I can, because he's a very shady character naturally, maybe I can get them on my side, maybe I can use them. Now he is annoyed that they survived. Why? It is so stupid. It's just evil character is evil for no reason. It doesn't really make sense. There are so many options you could have gone where he benefits from that. He gets money, he gets maybe some fame, he gets I don't know, he's on the good side of someone for doing something. So many ways. But no, it's evil. He's just evil to be evil. And this is my main problems with the show, that there are the evil characters are just evil to be evil. Now we find later on that Gene, he does get some benefit. He gets like a bunch of money, but I feel like he just did all the selling into slavery just to be an asshole, not really for the money, and because he wants to be together with a blonde girl, and somehow Flam was in the way. I don't know how. But he seemed she was in the way, and now that she's gone, he can now take the blonde girl for himself. I don't know. I don't care, to be honest. And this is really my main problem, that the bad characters are just stupid bad. Additionally, the animation did lose a lot of its luster, sadly. So that's more or less all. I still find it interesting. It may still be somewhat decent, but I feel like there's a lot of potential that sadly got lost through somewhat poor writing.